Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Scythe, and today we're getting back into Seeds of Chaos. And as you probably saw up there in the corner, it said Luriel wants a protector. I think that's the name, because we are just starting week 14, and we do have the necessary forces to take over Reeve Keep. So I think we might do that pretty soon, but I mean, there's also no reason to do it just yet. I do really want to expand everything within the castle and be able to house more warriors and things like that, but we'll see how that goes. Let's get those 300 gold and build the town hall or city hall or whatever it was called, and yeah, let's go from there. But now, Luriel wants to talk to us. Let's go. Roman was working on the endless pile of paperwork at his desk. From the corner of his eye, he saw a shadow at the far end of the room. Surely not someone he knew. She was far off, but her silhouette was unfamiliar. At first, he pretended not to notice her. She was likely a castle resident here to see him about a problem. A common occurrence. Indeed, nearly an hour after her arrival, she gathered up the courage to speak to him. Up close, Rowan had a better make of her. The long pointed ears, pale skin, and golden hair marked her as an elf. Okay. And also, these are not nipplers. Yes, we're calling them nipplers. These are hooks for her clothing, it seems. Of course. He squinted. Rowan knew the elves better than most humans. They were in a reclusive lot, rarely seen in human lands, much less the Dread Castle. Perhaps she was one of Cleona's apprentices. He'd seen one or two elves among them. She stopped in front of the desk and studied the papers at his desk for a moment. You made an error. This word is spelled there with the letters RE, not there with the letters IR. Rowan glanced down at the document. So I have. Thank you for catching that, my lady. I was starting to expect you would never approach me. Is there something I can do to help you? Unless I'm mistaken, you're Rowan Blackwell, are you not? They say you were a hero in the war. You're not mistaken. I'm Rowan. She gave him a short bow with the stiffness of a fresh cadet. Rowan made a note of the skittish way she moved her body. It's alright. No need to be nervous. I'm here to help. Yeah, don't pretend to be the good guy. Or rather, do pretend to be the good guy for as long as you can, I guess. Because we are being corrupted by the twins here. Okay. She sighed inwardly. I came to you because something has happened, and I was hoping that you could become my protector. Protector? She nodded shyly. An arrangement where you'd, ensure that no one who wants to hurt me gets a hold of me. And in return, maybe I could do whatever you want. No questions asked. Whatever you want. Rowan raised an eyebrow. I see. It's a pretty drastic thing to ask of someone you've never even spoken to before. The girl blushed and darted her eyes to the side. She couldn't hold his gaze. I'm sorry. It's stupid, Rowan put a hand up to silence her before she could continue down the self-deprecating track. I said it was drastic, not stupid. If you're so desperate for a protector, then there's something or someone that you want protection from. She nodded her head slowly. Who? My man, or at least my former man. Luriel. He's the leader of our band, the band of the 14 Divine Winds of the Blessed Canopy. That is one hell of a name. Band of the 14 Divine Winds of the Blessed Canopy. A bit of a mouthful, don't you think? An elven band at Castle Bloodmead. There weren't any of the active duty rosters. Then again, he didn't know everyone who had ended up here. The castle was a melting pot of society's undesirables. A visit to Jezera was in order. I was his, well, on paper a subordinate, but in truth his concubine. He's always been quick to anger, but of late, Torlene has taken a turn for the worse. More angry, more violent. To demonstrate, she raised her wrist and delicately removed the band. It revealed a nasty bruise etched into her skin. Next she went to her collar and unclasped it. It showed the lasting outline of a hand holding tight enough to dangerously deprive her of air. Well, damn. I see. He was never like this before. Being in Bloodmean has brought out the worst in him. It became more than I could rationalize away. So a few nights ago I packed up my things and snuck into the main castle. Soon Torlene will find me and come for me. He thinks me his. So if it means being kept safe from him, I'll do anything. It is not as though being a man in a man's service such as onerous thing. An onerous? Or what? I have no idea what that word is. If a man treats me right, they say you're a hero. A good man. Rowan leaned back in his chair. This Torlene figure might be a problem. The head of an elven fighting band would be a skilled warrior. Making an enemy of him could be risky. Still. If it's any incentive, I was the bursar of the company. I hope you don't mind me saying I'm very good at it too. Good enough that they brought me along, even if I'm not a fighter. You have an important position here, right? You're the steward. Does that mean that you have paperwork to do? Rowan chuckled darkly. Too much paperwork. She brightened up for the first time and gave a faint smile. He almost detected a hint of pride from her. Well, I could help with that. I mean, if you become my protector, I could. Fascinating. He'd been meaning to ask Jezera for a secretary, but the fact that anyone she assigned would be a spy gave Rowan pause. The longer he thought about it, the more attractive Luriel's request became. His attention focused most strongly on a sad plight, yeah, her valuable skill set, definitely. Her offer of allegiance, ooh, her alluring figure. I do want... Here's the thing. We've been fucking around, let's not pretend I have not. But I kind of want to think that we are here with Alexia, and something just happens along the way. Having Luriel would not fit into that image, if we put it like that. That is not simply something that happens along the way. That is something that stays on my path. But if she is... of course it was her sad plight, but I think her skill set is very nice. I like it. I like a brainy girl. Rowan's eyes glanced at his desk and the boxes in the corner for paperwork. During the war, the best part of his skill set had been field logistics, practical organization, making decisions, and seeing the big picture. So much of his time was now consumed with the paperwork and formalities of record keeping, something he'd always left to subordinates. If he helped her, not only would he be doing a good deed, he would also be bringing an assistant into the fold of who was loyal to him and not the twins. Certainly worth the effort. There was an elven bureaucrat with the army during the campaign through the Rakshan wastes. He certainly saved me a lot of time and effort. I hope I do not overgeneralize when I say there is a reputation for people for the arts of organizational and operational management. Your people. The Protheans have long relied on our expertise for the governance of the realm. To that end, there is a school in our capital. Any of our people with such aptitude go there. A school you studied at? For a time, yes. Rowan rose from his chair and circled to the front of his desk, so he could meet the elven girl at eye level. His expression conveyed stern resolution. I will help you, Luriel. We have an agreement. Her face brightened into a wide, relieved smile. He only caught a momentary glance at it before she hid it in the ornate silk of her arms. Aye. Thank you. I will call on your former man. It may take me a few hours, though. Do you have somewhere safe to stay in the meantime? I believe so. Good. We'll meet again when you're safe. Rowan hastily made it for the hallway back to his room. This was a situation that demanded he have his sword on him. Okay, yeah, right. We're supposed to talk to Jezera about that band leader. Rowan averted his eyes when he entered Jezera's room? Wasn't it Jezera? Let me double check. I thought it was Jezera. Yeah, exactly. Jezera. Jezera. What the hell? That is unfortunate because it says Jezera here. She was lounging on a sofa in the nude. I hope I haven't interrupted something. Oh, you can stop averting your eyes, you silly prude. Just my bath. So get on with it. What do you know about a band of elven mercenaries in the castle? The band of the 15 divine winds or something. Her posture straightened out the moment he said the word elven. Beneath her eyes you could almost see the motions of gears springing to life. Luriel must have been to see you, huh? You know her? Blonde elf wife? She asked me for protection. Naturally, if I was interested, but I might have come on a little stronger than intended. Skittish girl, that one. He couldn't help cracking a small smirk. Seems like a rookie mistake for a master manipulator. Oh, hush! I misjudged your comfort level. Such problems cannot always be avoided. I'm still planning a second approach. Once she realizes I'm her best option, she'll come right around back to me. Rowan leaned back in his seat. The fact that he hadn't been her first choice either meant she hadn't known about him. She was hiding something. Or she was truly desperate. Luriel's spoken with you now, I assume? Do you intend to stop me from helping her? She put a finger to her lips. I haven't decided yet. With a little training, she would be a delicious addition to my collection. Delicious addition. That was not good. If he was to secure Luriel's safety and assistance, Rowan would have to persuade her to back down. Persuade her firmly, persuade her diplomatically. Here's the thing. I can't even show that. But I wanted to, when I level up, I want to add on to my diplomacy. Because I don't, as important as fighting is, I don't want Andras, I want to negate Andras. So I want to up with my diplomacy. So that's what I'm going to focus on when I level up. So I'm gonna try here. Rowan adopted an open, accommodating pose. Okay, so it's no skill check. I'm going to have to insist that you leave this one to me. She promised me to be my secretary if I help her. Consider, what would you do with her if you became her protector? Turn her into a toy? Jezera giggled to herself darkly, and now it's Jezera again. That's one way to phrase it. Let me take her off your hands. To you, she's nothing, but to me, she's very valuable. It also means I'll handle this jilted ex-lover of hers. A double win for you. A win and a loss. The girl would make an excellent liquor. Pooey! You'd ask me to forego my own pleasure for your nonsense. She let out an exaggerated sigh and gazed at him intently. Clearly, if you're going through the trouble of haggling with me in this way, you're serious about this. So why? What has my pet hero so worked up? Well, what are we going to say, though? Do you know how difficult it is to find good help? I have the responsibilities of 10 men. If I don't have a competent assistant in the immediate future, the quality of my work is going to start to suffer. Okay, good. I have offered before. Rowan shook his head firmly. It has to be someone who works directly for me. Furthermore, this girl tells me she's an experienced and trained bureaucrat. Can you offer me someone of equal credentials? I need Luriel. Jezera rose from her seat, extending a hand to Rowan. Fine, Rowan, you win. You insist on having a first try at this girl? Have at it. But I know her type. The moment she realizes that you're a spineless nothing, she'll get wandering eyes. I'll have her soon enough. Rowan rolled his eyes. He took her hand and the two walked together towards the door. Now then, that band of elves? Yes, if you really must. They're exiles, banished from Eloan. They come to join us after a residency with a drow. We haven't come to an agreement of service yet. Their leader is a bit of a stubborn ass. But I've let them stay in our guardhouse in the outlying walls. That's where you need to look. Rowan rubbed his hands together for warmth as he followed the winding paths atop the walls. The elves' guardhouse could be seen in the distance. The location was secluded and at a high elevation. Just the sort of place Rowan knew elves to prefer. But what could an elf do that would get them banished? Such a punishment must be rare. The crimes must have been serious. Halt! He was stopped by the arrival of an elven warrior, and a strange one at that. He was taller than Rowan by half a head and muscular as an orc. Rowan had never seen an elf like him before. He was in the long-flowing robes of an elven fighter, girded by iron defensive pieces. He held a long pole arm, but it ended with a twisted blade, unlike human halberds. Human, whatever you're looking for, you're far overshot. This is our territory. I'm aware. I'm here looking for... The large elf's eyes suddenly shot wide. Wait, are you perchance Rowan Blackwell? Yes. The elf bent into a deep bow of respect. Goddess Fen, you must accompany me to the honored Torlene at once. He's expecting you to visit him. Has he? Rowan tilted his head. He followed his large companion deeper into the guardhouse. From the shadows, he saw the shapes of watching elven fighters. Your name, sir? Galabriath, Rowan. I'm the deputy commander. I can see why. You're built like an ox. You could probably crush a skull with your bare hands. Sadly, an unfortunate curse which I will strive to overcome. The large elf led him to a terrace that jutted out from the side of the guardhouse. It revealed a small courtyard. There he found Torlene. The commander was in front of a wooden training dummy, with multiple gashes in its surface from overuse. He spun around, striking with a blade, elbow and knee. To the untrained eye, it might look like a dance, but Rowan knew it had to be a practice of elven sacred fighting arts. He was shorter by a head than Rowan. His long dark ponytail hung behind him in an ornate braids. It danced behind him to match his swift, deliberate movements. What made Rowan marvel was his short sword. Rather than a straight edge, it was jagged, with its side of serous cresting waves, the traditional weapon of an honored sword, martial elites of the elves. Torlene broke his stance and turned to Rowan. He picked up a cloth from a nearby chair and wiped down his face. I know that fighting style, don't I? There was an elven commander at the storming of Dead Man's Pass, an honored sword. He held a southern approach during the battle from the Drow relief force. You speak of honored Finnegold. An astute observation. Every soldier you see here served beneath his banner for many years. Well, that would explain why your deputy knew me on sight. I don't suppose Finnegold is among you, is he? Not anymore. The expression of the elven commander's face suggested it would not be prudent to continue on that topic of discussion. You have been expected, Rowan Blackwell. As an acquaintance and fellow veteran of the wars, you are the natural envoy, and I have been piqued by the idea of treating with a human of your stature. He folded his arms behind his back in a dignified, strict posture. Your presence means the demon woman wishes to continue our contract negotiations, correct? Rowan's attention kept on being drawn to the unusual sword. Torlene had it sheathed, but could draw it at any time. No, actually, I'm here about a different matter entirely. Luriel. Torlene's eyes flickered, first with surprise, then with narrowing eyebrows. Before, he seemed stoic, but just one name was enough to turn him into a storm of emotionality. You found her? Good. That thought she could escape me. I had started to worry she had succeeded. Do you have her with you? I don't intend to bring her here. Explain. Rowan rested his hands on the hilt of his own sword. I've seen how you treated that girl. She came to me with bruises and scars, so I'm here to tell you that you need to leave her alone. She's under my protection. Under your protection. Rowan noticed that the larger elf had taken a step backward from them. He must have been able to feel the heat ratcheting up. I hope I don't need to explain what I mean by that. I don't want you to hurt you or your men, but if I hear you have... You're the one! He jabbed a finger at Rowan. Of course, there was no way that pretty little fool could have come up with the idea to run away herself. She hasn't had a thought of her own in years. I suspected there was a puppet master, and I found him. You're talking horse shit. Today was the first time I've ever met her. She was the one who came to me. Torlene's sword was back in his hands. The movement was so fast it would not have registered with less trained eyes. Torlene's fingers stretched with precise dexterity around the grip, readying his hold on the weapon. I name you a liar and a thief. The girl is mine. To let you put your hooks into her would be a stain on my honor. Galbraith, kill this human. Let us see how much protection my girl's betrayal has bought her. The large elf glanced in shock at his commander, but Torlene's face didn't budge. There would be no choice for Galbraith. Meanwhile, Rowan had his sword drawn and readied. Galbraith mouthed an apology to Rowan before he charged. Galbraith's first strike didn't land, nor did his second. Rowan easily ducked both swipes. The elf lunged forward, but Rowan was still a step ahead. Had he attempted the simpler motions of a human fighter, he might have benefited from his strength and reach, but the fluid complexity of the elven fighting arts were clumsy as done by his body. Rowan used an opening in his stance to enter his guard. He attempted a backstep, but it was already too late. Rowan struck him in the belly with his blunt pommel, a non-lethal blow. Galbraith stumbled back, winded, and clutched at his stomach. It had hardly been a fair fight at all. Rowan grinned. Useless oaf! The commander shoved Galbraith out of the way, sending him careening to the ground. Rowan's grin faded. Then, Torlene's leveled his wicked curved blade towards Rowan. Come on, I hope you're not as disappointing as your boy here. The blade master ran forward and jumped into a spinning strike. Rowan placed his blade where he expected Torlene's strike to land. Their swords clinked off each other, but the motion of the elf's arm continued, and his elbow twisted into Rowan's face. The human was forced to stumble back, lip bleeding. An unusual way of fighting. Torlene's elbow and knees were weapons of the caliber of fists and feet. Fast bugger, aren't you? Overwhelmed, I see. You face the 9-star Grashush Arch of Finnegold, and of the band of the 14 Divine. A short jab forced the elf to hop back a couple of paces, silencing him momentarily. You guys really need to fine tune the names, you know that? Ooh, taunt him further! Just fight! He's just gonna lash out if we taunt him, so that could be good for us. It's no wonder she ran out on you. You're standing here having a tantrum like a child. You probably want her just so you have someone to clean the mess in your trousers. Rowan smirked. I will make a corpse of you. When I have recovered her, she will have to clean up that mess, as punishment for your disrespectful tongue. The next assault came like a lightning bolt. He trapped his blade against Rowan's repeatedly, challenging Rowan's guard. Thankfully, Rowan had the footwork to answer him. He drew back slowly, just enough to keep his balance. Yet Torlene didn't let up. Was Rowan's retreat his goal? He noticed himself being driven back towards the railing. Die, scum! When Rowan's back hit the railing, Torlene's launched himself into a fast jabbing motion. Success! Okay, good. And that was at combat. Rowan's instincts were alive. They had to be faint. Rowan sidestepped the initial strike, but was already waiting for the follow-up. It came when Torlene swung his weapon around into a side slash. With no room to back up, Rowan could only block it with his sword. Right, I also want to up my perception, I believe it was, so that I can find the noblewoman. But Rowan's arm had more force than Slight Elf could muster. The clash of steel knocked Torlene's sword aside. He had opened his guard long enough for Rowan to sneak in a sucker punch. Rowan's foe was forced to stumble back a few steps. The fight ended before a follow-up blow could land. Galbraith rushed between the two combatants, hands outstretched. "Wait!" Torlene and his deputy rapidly traded words in Elvish. It had seemed at first that Torlene would simply shove his deputy out of the way again. Instead, his tone of voice grew sharper and sharper. Finally, in a fit of rage, Torlene stormed away. Whatever Galbraith had said had ended the encounter. "Perhaps it would be best if you come with me, Rowan, before he changes his mind." The large elf hurriedly escorted Rowan past the watching elves' mercenaries, away from the band's commander. They waited until they were out of earshot of the others before speaking. "Are you alright? I'm sorry for hitting you so hard." "You're the one who deserves the apology. Torlene's is normally diligent and even a tempered leader, but when it comes to personal matters... Before she was Torlene's woman, she was an honored Finnegold's. Let us just say that Finnegold's death is not a wound that Torlene has recovered from, and it has consequences for anyone he associates with his former commander." Oh. But I reminded him what killing you would mean for the entire expedition up here. We've suffered and invested too much already to lose it all by killing the demon steward. I think he'll stay away from Luriel, at least for a time. Rowan sheathed his sword. "I see why Luriel left." Galbraith's face lowered slightly. The mention of her carried with it a shade of guilt. "Tell me about her." "Luriel? She's a smart girl. Can accomplish whatever her mind points to, provided there's someone there to do the pointing. Honored Finnegold began to bring her to our camp up in Aloan. She was some sort of follower of his. Evidently, she was so taken with him he followed along when we were forced to depart. She had a certain aptitude for numbers and records, so she became the paymaster. When it passed, Torlene took over his tent. Luriel seemed to just drift towards him. Look, she's a good kid. Don't treat her like Torlene did and you'll never doubt her loyalty. I met someone who thought she'd get a wandering eye. That person didn't know her very well. Keep this from Torlene, but Luriel should have abandoned him sooner. Just promise you'll take care of her, all right? It would ease my mind. Rowan simply gave him a soft nod. And it's not over yet. God damn, this was a long one. The entire video is about this. It was nightfall by the time Rowan was back in the castle. Luriel was by his side, arms filled with scrolls. She walked in the fast-paced shuffled to make up for the difference in stride. It was after I was locked in the dungeon for months on end that Jezera and Andros pulled me out, so that being forced to work here under those circumstances must have been horrible. Rowan shrugged. It is what it is, definitely, and I haven't forgiven the twins for it. I hope you don't mind, but I took the liberty to review the basic documents you had on hand, as well as to send up a desk from the storage for myself. Eager, aren't you? He chuckled softly. Well, while I was waiting for Jezera to accept a contract with us, with Torlene, there wasn't much to do. I'm eager to get back to work, sir. You say that now, but when you see what an effort it takes to run this castle, and just how bad orcs are documenting anything, well, you might have a change of heart. I look forward to the challenge. Well, if you're already set up your desk, I'll take you to your new room. Rowan led her to the bedroom he'd requisitioned. Together they took what meager possessions she brought with her and unpacked them. When the job was done, she suddenly stopped and walked into the center of the room. Then she turned back to Rowan, lowering her head slightly. Rowan, you're my protector now, and I did promise to do anything you want. Rowan tilted his head. Once she was alone with him, she was like a totally different woman. More demure and shy. I suppose you're going to want to put that to the test now, aren't you? Okay. I honestly didn't think she would be forward like that. She reached to the opening of her skimpy silken elven outfit and pulled back to the left side, ever so slightly. In the process, it bared her pert nipple to him. I meant what I said, sir. I'll do whatever you want. You can use me. That's okay. The way she was stuttering there makes me think she kinda doesn't want to, but she expects me to want to. She glanced up at him from the side of her eyes. Her lashes bat softly, bidding him closer. Respond enthusiastically, remain silent but don't decline. Reject her advances. I'm gonna reject her. I am so curious what her thinking is. Rowan retreated back a step. Luriel, please. I understand that this is what you expect from past experience, but it's not needed. You can keep your clothes on. She tilted her head. I'm saying that you don't have to f*** me. Help me with my labors, be my friend and stay loyal. That's all I ask of you. She does look disappointed. She glanced down at her naked bosom. Her posture started to slouch. Sorry. Is there something displeasing about me, sir? Rowan shook his head. He walked close enough to show her comfort without leaving the distance of modesty. From there, he placed a hand on her shoulder. Of course, you're a radiant woman, but not in these circumstances. Besides, I'm a married man, Luriel. Breaking my vows would be impossible, not a step I wish to take today. Today it does imply something, some other things, but it hasn't been impossible. She shied back from his grasp. Her delicate hands went to her chest and worked her clothing back to modesty. Rowan made a point of keeping his glance at eye level. Yes, you know, sir. She made a face reminiscent of the one from before, with battling lashes and a tinge of mischief. I don't mind performing those kinds of services for my protector. You really needn't worry on my behalf. Okay, she wants it. Was not expecting that, honestly. I am obviously bad at dark fantasy. So, perhaps if you start finding yourself desiring such a thing in the future... Rowan sighed. And yes, I'll let you know. I wouldn't worry too much about that right now. You're about to find out just how much work managing an entire castle can be. Luriel is now Rowan's secretary. End of week report. Good. Okay, so... And I have still not leveled up! God damn it! And that's a lot of morale. Nice gold. Ooh, almost done here with the treasury. We can almost upgrade something. And got some cash. Good. 8 weeks remaining to complete current main story mission. And I'm also thinking that I don't want to attack Reeves' castle yet because I am still only level 1. I should try to level up at least to level 2 because it's like Pokemon. When you get past to the next city or a new ground in this case, we are going to things are going to get more difficult. So I need to level up at least one more time. And considering how fucking impossible it's been so far to level up, as soon as I level up, I guess I will be attacking Reeves' keep. So yeah. Week 15. Well, that is where I cut off for today's episode. I did not expect this entire episode to be all about one event. That is very rare, regardless of a game I play. But that was one hell of a thing we went through with Luriel, our naughty secretary, and making sure that her former master doesn't pester her in the future. Yeah. yeah, either way, thank you guys for watching, and thank you Joseph for donating directly to my Ko-fi page. If you guys want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one, and remember, just because you're not the main character, it does not mean you're not important. Goodbye everyone.